There's a request to all the presenters. While you're presenting, please turn on your cameras. Same with the chairs. While you're talking, please keep your cameras on. When you're not talking, please keep your camera off. And during the Q&A session, when chairs will be directing questions to the presenters, during the entire Q&A session, I request all of you, like both the chairs and all the 5 presenters, to kindly keep their cameras on. So it gives a more interactive feel. Thank you. I think Mandeep has joined again. Mandeep, can you hear us? Nitish, can you chat with Mandeep on the chat box? I think he's facing some issue.
Do we have his number?
No, and that's what I'm saying on the chat box. He's here as a D4N 2022 panelist. And if you can also help rename him, as you're the host, you'll be able to rename him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me be sure that he is Mandeep.
Yeah, just chat with him and find out what's the issue that he's facing.
Isha, this time one, should we maintain timing, or we'll get some alert from
you will get an alert from the timekeeper for this session, who is Saida, right? Saida, can you identify yourself?
Yes, Saida Farhana Nazneen.
So Saida will send you, if it's a presentation, if this allotted time is less than 5 minutes, then she'll just at 5 minutes, she'll message the presenter and both of you that the time is up. If the presentation is more than 5 minutes, for example, all the presentations in this session are 9 minutes. So at 7 minutes, she'll send a warning saying 2 minutes left, and the warning will go to the presenter and to both of you. And at the end of 9 minutes, she'll say time up. And if you feel like we are going a lot over time, then you can intervene. And if you think that it's fine to give like another 30 seconds or 1 minute, that's completely at your like you can decide, take that decision. But you will get the alert from the timekeeper.
Excellent.
And for the Q&A, the questions will be in the Q&A box. And I request all the presenters, like some questions, if you think you can answer directly in the Q&A box, please feel free to answer them. Otherwise, during the Q&A sessions, the co-chairs will take up those questions with you and you can answer live as well. If you think the question is really important and should be answered live, then please hold on until don't answer the question in the Q&A box, and we can wait for you to answer that question live. It's just 1 minute, so I request all of you to kindly turn off your cameras. We'll go live, and then, yeah. Nitesh, I hope you'll figure it out with Mandeep by the time the presentation comes.
Mandeep is not responding on the chat.
Okay, so
if you can arrange his number, I can call him directly.
I don't think so. He has shared
we do not have his number.
Yeah, it's already 3:30.
Yes,
so
just
I
go.
think we should just go live now. The screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Isha Saraswat, and on behalf of all the co-hosts for the Delivering for Nutrition conference in South Asia on transforming diets, I welcome you to the second thematic session for the day on adolescent diets and determinants in South Asia. The countries represented in this session are India and Bhutan. So we'll hear presentations from India and from Bhutan in this particular session. Before I introduce the co-chairs and hand over the session to them, I would like to make some housekeeping announcements. First, the session will be recorded and posted on the IFPRI-POSHAN website following the conference. You can find all the information about the conference and other useful resources on the website, poshan.ifpri.info. All participants have been muted, but later in the session, we will open up the conversation with the Q&A session. If you have questions, we invite you to share them in the Q&A box throughout the session, and we will do our best to raise them during the Q&A session. If there is time, we may have participants to raise their virtual hands so we can call on you to speak your question aloud. In case a question similar to yours is already there in the Q&A box, please upvote it to avoid repetition. Last, if at any point you experience technical issues, please check your audio and video settings and your internet connection. You can always try to reconnect to the session using the same Zoom link and passcode. So before I introduce our co-chairs, I would just like to play a short video which we have asked all our co-hosts to record for us, answering a very simple question. How can implementation research help support equitable access to nutrition and sustainable diets in South Asia? We gave them 1 minute and we asked them this question, and let's see how they have responded.
Hello, my name is Sunita Kadiala. I'm the Professor of Global Nutrition at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. Accelerating our efforts towards realizing the goal of optimal nutrition for all in the era of climate change requires multi-sectoral actions which are inherently complex. The Agriculture, Nutrition and Health Academy is invested in facilitating the greater understanding of what actions work, what trade-offs might exist, and how the context of these actions matter. We are delighted to be co-hosts of this year's Delivering for Nutrition in South Asia conference. South Asia, a region where there is a rich array of experiences and lessons we all can learn from. We wish you a very happy conference.
That was Dr. Sunita Kadiala from London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, and she's also a co-founder of ANH Academy, who's a co-host with us for this workshop. Moving forward, now I would like to introduce the co-chairs of this session. We have Dr. Shweta Khandelwal with us. Dr. Shweta Khandelwal is Head Nutrition Research at the Public Health Foundation of India, Delhi. She's trained and experienced public health nutrition researchers working in the maternal child health and nutrition space in India for the last 17 years. Shweta teaches nutrition epidemiology and is the lead for capacity building initiative in public health nutrition at PHFI and CCDC. She has wide range of peer-reviewed publications, media pieces, and op-eds in leading international and national prints and online platforms. Welcome, Shweta.
Thank you.
Our next co-chair for this session is Mr. Gopinath Radhakrishnan. Gopinath is a development economist working with MSSRF, that is MS Swaminathan Research Foundation, as principal scientist. He has more than 15 years of experience in research and development. His core area of interest are food security, agrarian transformations, and monitoring and evaluation of developmental projects. Currently, Dr. Gopinath engages in rural transformation programs focusing on food and nutrition security at both practice and policy interfaces. Welcome, both of you, and I hand it over to both of you to take the session forward.
Thank you very much, first of all, Isha. And I hope all the participants, as well as those who joined us, are enjoying this wonderful academic treat that we are being offered for the last one day, and it goes on, I think, tomorrow as well. So without taking much time, our session today is focused on adolescent health, on adolescent nutrition. And according to India's 2011 census, approximately 20% of total population is comprised of adolescents aged 10 to 19 years. A total adolescent population of over 253 million. So that number is really, really huge. And therefore, any impact on this population really bears a lot of weight in the real sense. So while some of the positive changes have been registered in the adolescent population, for example, improved sex ratio, literacy rate, etc., but please remember that when it comes to health and nutrition, we have not been that lucky. 8% of our adolescent girls, 15 to 19 years, have already begun childbearing. 3% have become pregnant with their first child. And despite an almost universal knowledge of modern contraceptive methods, less than 1/5 of adolescent girls report using modern contraception. Globally, each year, 16 million babies are born to adolescent girls, 15 to 19 years age. And 10% of total births are therefore contributed by this. As many as 20,000 girls under the age of 18 in developing countries, including India, give birth every day. Again, a huge number, which we cannot deny. And we must therefore, as stakeholders, try and improve whatever we can do in this period. So if these adolescent pregnancies, which do not occur in live births, they are also included, this number even goes further up. And this particular point of being teenage pregnancy is actually an added risk, not only for the mom, but also for the baby. There are data now from CNNS, the Comprehensive National Nutrition Survey, which confirms this, both using the survey data as well as biochemical confirmations. Things like hypertension, dyslipidemia, chronic kidney disease, overweight, obesity are all very, very prevalent amongst this population. In 2022, just now, we celebrated the 75th year of independence, right? And these, in 8 years, we have the 2030 SDG targets coming up as well. And in 8 years, this from 2022, which is almost ending, to 2030, all these kids who we are witnessing today are going to be adolescents in that age group. And so it's very, very, imperative right now for all of us to understand what is this population eating, why do they choose to eat what they do, and what can be done about it. So with that, I also would like to welcome and hand over to my co-chair, Gopi. Over to you.
Thank you, Sweta. Thank you very much. And thanks a lot for setting this stage. And I would like to add only one point to Dr. Sweta's remarks. And we should also remember that this age group, this adolescent age group, provides opportunities to correct nutritional deficiencies that may have occurred in the childhood, early childhood days, and it allows to catch up your growth and increase linear growth for the next generation. So with this remark, we may go to the presentations directly. And we have 5 papers. Each paper will take 9 minutes. And we have 5 papers and 6 speakers other than our co-chairs. So first paper will be presented by Dr. Kunzun Deki and Susan Shellman. Both of them are from Bhutan. And Kunzun is working with the Ministry of Education, and she's responsible for health and nutrition programs that implemented in schools in Bhutan. I think we have a right person to start this session, because this adolescent age group people are mostly in schools, just out of the schools. And she is also responsible for efficient implementation of national school feeding programs in Bhutan. Our second speaker is Susan Shulman, and she is an experienced person. She is with WFP Bhutan, and she's a social behavioral change specialist. Stage is for you, Susan and Shulman.
Yeah.
You take 9 minutes. You will get alert at 7th minute, and kindly wind up after 7. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kunzang Deki from Ministry of Education, Bhutan, and our topic for today is snacking among Bhutanese school children and adolescents. Change. Next slide. So we did this research on dietary habits because we will be developing a strategy, an SPC strategy, to improve the dietary habits of school-age children. And the two main objectives are food consumption behavior. We want to know what foods children and adolescents consume, from where, when, and how. And the other one is the behavioral determinants. We want to know like why and what are the factors that drive or inhibit the food consumption behavior among the school-age children, and what are their food preferences. Next. We had 5 different methodologies for this research. We had free listing, pile sorting, observation, photojournal, in-depth interview, and focus group discussions. I'm sure everybody have heard about FGDs and IDI, but we also use this interesting and rare methods like free listing, pile sorting, and photojournals, which will be explained further by my colleague here, Susan. And we actually made the research in 3 different regions, East, South, and West. And we also included Thimphu as one of the regions because we see a lot of people who migrate from different regions to Thimphu, which is the capital city. And we wanted to see if there is any difference between the 3 regions and Thimphu. And we had a random selection of children at each school, mix of females and males and different classes. We took children from classes 1 till 12. And not only with students, but we also had focus group discussions with mothers and caregivers, school staff, and retailer near the schools. Next. I'd like to hand it over to my colleague here.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. We're just sitting next to each other. Okay, so I'm going to explain some of the results from the data. These are preliminary results. The first exercise, as Kunzang mentioned, was free listing. For those of you, you can click on the advanced. I have some fly-ins here. Whoever's okay. So, oh, no, too much. Yeah, thank you. So for those that don't know, free listing, all it is we ask a child or an adolescent, name all the different kinds of X that you can think of. Name all the different kinds of foods that you think of that are considered meals versus separate subject, name all the different kind of snacks you can think of. And you give them 3 minutes and they compile a list. And here we input that into Anthropack, which is a software that's freely available. Oops. Basically what you see here is 2 lists, and you'll notice that they're very distinct. There's no overlap whatsoever. These are the top 10 or 12 items that were most salient, and by salient, I mean top of mind. So it was interesting to see in the minds of the adolescents and the children, there is no overlap in these 2 categories. Next slide. Then during the focus group discussions, we actually had a graphic that's exactly what you see here. And we asked the subjects to plot out all their meals and their snacks. And as a summary, here's what we found. You can see the 3 meals were pretty distinct. And then the snacks are in orange. We saw some snacks after breakfast as they walked to school. We saw during the mid-morning interval, and then a big part of the snacking happened when they got home from school or on their way home from school. Sometimes this was little, junk food. Here they call junks. And often it was a full-on meal. And some of the kids called it their first dinner, as opposed to the one that happened later. Especially among the older adolescents, we saw a lot of snacking also late night, specifically as they're studying or after they're studying or as they're playing video games or other screen-related behavior. Next slide. Okay, now, in spite of what we heard in the free listing with this very distinct categories of snack and meals, when we looked at the photojournals, we basically asked adolescents, they were all adolescents in this case, to do a week-long photojournal of memorable food moments, is what we called it. And what we saw there was a lot of junks or snack foods, entering into meals. So you can see the pizzas, you can see the bread, you can see the Coca-Cola, you can see the little spicy snacks. And these were not between meals, but rather inside the meal itself. So there's a little bit of a, triangulation of the data that we did here. We're seeing, so in spite of what they're saying, there is this new movement of junks coming into the meals. Next slide. Okay, that was the bad news, but we actually had some good news. When we did pile sorting, which involves, we basically had a deck of 32 food cards, and we asked them to sort the cards into different categories. And we had a few different categories. We had healthy, not healthy, we had frequency, and we had tasty, not tasty. And what you see here is, you can press the advanced key just to once. Yes. Okay. Note that the top 5 foods that were most frequently noted as tasty they're all fruit: mango, watermelon, banana, orange, and apple. And if you press again, you'll notice the foods that we typically would have thought would have been on the top, like chocolate and chips and biscuits and cake, actually scored lower. A lower percentage of the respondents called them tasty. So what that says to us is the Bhutanese children love fruit. They want fruit. They actually want it more than some of the other stuff. But the issue here in Bhutan is availability. We have a lot of seasonality issues when it comes to growing seasons. And then we have some difficulty on the supply chain side of things. So availability becomes very difficult. But the good news is that the children want to snack on fruit. So we were pleased to see that. Next slide. Okay, so summarizing some of the drivers that we found, on the food environment side, we saw availability and marketing as a problem. The retailers here are very clever in developing and tailoring their offerings to the taste and budgets of children. And we saw, interestingly, here the schools have no junk policies on the books. This picture is of a bag full of junks that have been confiscated from the students. The problem is
Susan, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, you can press the next one. Yeah. Next, okay, and then on the other side, we have culture and psychological issues, changing family eating habits. We're seeing a lot more solitary eating among children, and social bonding. We see a lot of the adolescents snacking with friends is very important to that. I'm going to leave the last slide for my colleague, Kunzang.
Next. Okay, so maybe you can just press all the bullets. Here are some of the policy implications. Bhutan has a rapidly closing window of opportunity to stem the avalanche of junk foods flooding the country and becoming entrenched in Bhutanese food culture. Though we have school meals which are largely nutritious and available to about 60% of the students, like all boarding and additionally rural day students, but we have school canteens which are found mostly in the urban day schools, which serve a lot of unhealthy junk food, and this is something we should be regulating it better. And then the other policies such as taxation, warning labels, restrictions on marketing of imported ultra-processed foods, high in sugar, salt, and fat should be considered again. And making healthy, tasty, convenient, and affordable alternative to junk should be prioritized by the agriculture sector and food processor. Like my colleague here, Susan, she mentioned that according to one of, sorry?
Your time up. Can you please wind up in 15 seconds?
Okay, and the last bullet, SPC must go beyond nutrition education and try to tackle the social and psychological drivers of unhealthy diets. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for this interesting, sharing findings from this interesting study. And one thing which is very common even in India is the gap between knowledge and the practice. It is very clear that knowledge doesn't transfer into practice even in Bhutan. And you may address this question at the end of the session. If you give some details on proportion of children having school meal and not having school meal, because you have highlighted that the school meal is nutritious, whereas the food available in the school canteen are not nutritious. So if you give some details about this one, that will be very helpful at the end. Thank you very much. Let's move to the next presenter. And she's Sheetal Rajan. Sheetal is monitoring, evaluation, and learning and meal specialist. Sheetal is with the Society for Nutrition, Education, and Health Action, SNEHA, Mumbai. She got her master's from JIPMER, Puducherry. Sheetal, over to you. Rule is same. You will get alert at 7th minute. Try to wind up within 2 minutes after that. Thank you.
Thank you, Gopinath. Hello and good afternoon from India. I'm Sheetal, and today I'll be presenting the findings from the study titled Dietary Diversity Among Young Adolescents Living in Urban Informal Settlements in Mumbai. The co-authors for the study, Sushmita Das and Dr. Anuja Jairami, are attending this, are in the audience. Next. Coming to the rationale of the study, as you know, adolescence is a period of phenomenal growth. There is growth physically, there is physiological changes also occurring, and the link between nutrition and adolescent development is strong. For example, adolescent girls have an increased need for iron, taking into account changes occurring due to menstruation. But despite this, there has been an underinvestment in research on adolescent nutrition, and not much is known on the dietary practices of adolescents, especially young adolescents in the age group of 10 to 14 years in the urban context. Next. With this, the aim of our study was to examine the dietary diversity among adolescent boys and girls residing in urban informal settlements in Mumbai. We conducted a cross-sectional survey among adolescents aged 11 to 14 years who were enrolled in the adolescent intervention of SNEHA, which is a health NGO based in Mumbai. We interviewed 687 adolescents using a stratified random methodology, where the stratification was done based on the geographical locations where SNEHA's health intervention works. The study was conducted between December 2021 and February 2022, which was during the COVID pandemic, where active cases were present, and hence we used telephone interviews for data collection. We took informed verbal consent from the parents and assent from the adolescents. Next. Coming to the study setting, SNEHA's adolescent intervention works in Dharavi in Mumbai and Thane district of Maharashtra, which conform to the definition of urban informal settlements with poor sanitation facilities, overcrowding, and a largely migrant population. For the study, we received ethical approval from the Bandra Holy Family Medical Research Society. We used the Food and Nutrition Technical Assistance Pool by the FAO UNICEF to measure the minimum dietary diversity among adolescents. It was an open recall method where food group participants who had partaken of five or more food groups among 10 were considered to have achieved minimum dietary diversity. Next. Coming to the results, just giving you a brief description about the socio-demographic characteristics of our sample. We interviewed among our sample, 47% were boys and majority lived in nuclear families and were Hindus. The mean household size was 6. Though all the adolescents had access to improved water source, only 24% had access to improved toilet facilities. Next slide, please. So coming to the results, in our study, only 31% of the adolescents had adequate dietary diversity, that is a proxy indicator for micronutrient adequacy. As you can see on the right, majority had partaken of cereals, legumes in the previous day and night. The least consumed food groups were eggs and vitamin A-rich fruits and vegetables. Less than a quarter had consumed protein-rich food sources like flesh foods, vitamin A rich sources like green leafy vegetables, etc. Next. Additionally, we had also taken data on the IFA consumption in the preceding month of the survey and deworming tablet consumption in the last 6 months of the survey. As you can see, only 3% of the adolescents in our sample had received IFA and 7% had received deworming tablet in the last 6 months of the survey. The implications of the study, one is that findings reveal low diversity among adolescent diets. Since adolescent offers a nutrition sensitive window to promote healthy growth, that is, the effects of adolescent nutrition extend to other physiological systems and also to later age group. Adolescent responsive nutritional interventions are a pressing need. Continuing nutrition education, especially with family as a unit, are needed to promote positive dietary practices. Also, a low coverage of IV supplementation among adolescents is a concern. This could be really low because the study was conducted during the pandemic and the health system had priority of COVID than adolescent programming. We at SNEHA are also advocating for this, but further research can be taken to study this implementation among adolescents. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks a lot for a short presentation. You have rightly highlighted that the data gaps existing on this adolescents' diets and determinants part, and also the very low diet diversity. 31% is very much concern. And you have highlighted another point that only 24% of adolescents having improved toilet sanitation facilities, which is very much under concern. So I hope we will discuss more during that at the end of this. Thank you very much. May I request Mr. Ajay Gupta to make a presentation. Ajay is basically from IIPS, Indian Institute of Population Sciences, and he worked as a research officer in Comprehensive Nutrition Survey in Maharashtra. Mr. Ajay, so over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to clear that it is International Institute for Population Sciences in Mumbai and part of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So thank you very much for giving me this platform. I would not take much time, and I will start with the, as ma'am has already set up the stage with that, adolescent has a lot of problems and a lot of 20% population, which is a huge population in considering the other countries. So they have a lot of psychological issues, lifestyle behavior problems are there, and nutrition, of course. So my PhD was on the lifestyle, psychological, and nutritional behavior of the adolescent in Delhi and Mumbai colleges, with special reference to the dual learning families, so whose both parents are working somewhere. And so I try to focus. It is exploratory study in Delhi and Mumbai because I specifically chooses because I can find the students whose both parents are working, and large number of, because Delhi University and Mumbai University also are two big universities, and Delhi and Mumbai are metropolitan cities. So with respect to that, go forward with that. And that there are a lot of problems among the adolescent. Micronutrient deficiencies are occurring, and with respect to their socio backgrounds and conditions, because both parents are working.
You are not changing your slide. Should we change or?
No, sir, I just will starting
Okay,
with, I will just select it. Yeah. So thank you. So as the changes are occurring over the period, the nutrition also occurs. Sometimes it happens that during the adolescence, they are some students got the obese, or some people get the thinner over the time. So yeah, please change slide. Next. So yeah, this study is about the adolescents whose both parents are working, and they are, the focus of the study was because these parents are working, they are not able to give it the time, their lifestyle changes, they are, providing the money to, go and eat somewhere, or they are trying to give the same food over the time, or they are preparing the food overnight and giving to the child in the morning. And Delhi or Mumbai, where college started at 7 o'clock, so students have to leave early, and they sometimes skip their breakfast there, and sometimes they, because the classes are longer of 8 hours or 9 hours, and we generally, I would have seen from the Delhi University and Mumbai that they specifically don't have the lunch time. So with so the students just skip the lunch sometimes. So coming forward to that, before that, I would like to say that I selected Delhi and Mumbai colleges, and 600 students were part of that, but only 447 students were selected because of the permissions I take from these colleges first and then from the students, because the principal or the college has behaved work as a guardian for the students. So I go to the colleges and take the permission, and then I selected the students whose both parents are working. So it was a kind of tough to get the data, because the questionnaire was like somewhat long for me, because I was collecting data whole on their background, their parental background, their sibling background, their friends background. So whole lot of things were there. Specifically today I'm focusing on the nutritional behavior, their dietary behavior. So yeah, next please. It is about the data methods. Yeah, 447 students were selected through the criteria that do both I equally the sample represent equal number of male and female from the science, commerce and arts, because specifically it is said that science students are more focused on study. They take more time to study. Their classes are regular. On the other side, arts are free to move. So considering that, many factors I have considered. So by that, I also taken the anthropometric measurement of some of the students, where the students college allowed. On the other side, some where the students have already given the information on their own. And dietary behavior, specifically I asked about the what kind of food they are eating during the last week. Yeah. And next. So yeah, results we have. I also asked about what type of meal they are eating, how many times they are eating, what they generally do during the college time, what they do when they come to the home, how they eat, how their parents support during the eating, whether their parents are available or not, whether the time is specific or not. So yeah, starting with that, you can see just only in the yesterday only 56% of the student had a breakfast at their home, and only 27% in Delhi, or maybe only one third of the students had the lunch yesterday. But yeah, 90% has dinner somehow in their house. Moving forward, that how where they are taking the lunch is, you can see 75% are taking the lunch or breakfast of among them from the on the in the home only, or some students who are leaving early from their home, they are getting prepared from their parents, or the food was prepared overnight and they are giving to their children. Please next. Yeah, so you can see the almost 35% of the student had a breakfast yesterday outside of their home, and they are almost 18% has a lunch outside during the last week, at least once a week, and 10% has a dinner. It means they are oftenly going outside with their parents. They are or their parents are not able to make up to cook the food, so they are bringing the food from the outside. So this is a problem with the timings of the parents. As their both parents are working, they are not able to give them. We are coming to that point. So yeah, the children who have skipped the meals at least at least 3 times a week, it may 3 weeks due to their classes, due to their some other activities. They are the children who are going to the gym, so they skip the breakfast sometimes, or if they have the classes, or they are going to some maybe some classes, their other classes they are attending, or the conference kind of thing. So you can see that almost 20% have skipped the breakfast yesterday in the last week, almost 3 times, and 19%, almost 15% of the students in Delhi or Mumbai have skipped the dinner. They are actually, I may say that while we are talking to the students, they are not skipping the dinner. It means the dinner they are skipping at the home, or they are outside, but they are eating something else. It may be the junk food, or it may be the fast food, or they are just just eating the energy dense food. Okay, next. So you can just see that, as I was telling you earlier, that before they are, if they are leaving earlier or they are leaving late, how the time affects the breakfast taking at their home. You can just see if they are leaving early, the only 50% of the students are trying getting the breakfast at home almost. But after 8 a.m. they are almost 80% or 75% who are having the lunch or breakfast at home. Please next. So yeah, coming to the point that what kind of food they were eating. So you can just, it is the overall percentage, but in cereals, it may say among the cereal, it was the rice, it may be the chapatis,
Ajay, you have
breads.
2 minutes, Ajay.
Thank you,
Please
sir.
wait. Thank
So
you.
yeah, so only most of the students said that they 75% of them, because it is at least one of them. I said at least one of them. So cereals among 75% have the rotis. Among the vegetable, it was the potato 70%. Among the fruit, it was the banana almost 65%. Dairy products, it was the ice cream maybe. It is the ice cream, yes. And among the non-veg, it is the fish. Among the energy dense snack, it was the potatoes made especially like it may be it is a pizza and yeah, and noodles and chocolates. Yeah, next. So you can just see I'm specifically focused on the non-veg food with respect to the background characteristics of these students. So you can just those family who have less than 4 members at household, they are more prone to have non-veg food. They can have the food because there are other social economic, like their father income and their motherly income affects that. You can just see those who having the more income, they are likely to have a non-veg food at home more than others. Next. Yeah, so coming to the point that what I found during the analysis, the body mass, you can just see almost 25% students in Delhi and Mumbai are underweight and almost 12% are overweight. WHO also find that similar findings in 2006. They also said that almost 12 to 15% students in like adolescent 10 to 19 years are obese in nature. So that is what I found with the similar findings. Please next. Yeah, so you can just see, but like BMI with the fast food or ready drinks or non-veg food, you can see that those who are having, thank you. So those who are having the fast food, among them, 27%, almost 25%, similar percent are having the
Your
overweight
time up,
12%. You can
Ajay.
see.
Time up, Ajay. You just
Okay,
sum up in 20 seconds.
you can just move to the last slide.
Yeah.
So
Better.
yeah, you can just see that half of the respondent had the breakfast only yesterday, and 1/3 had the lunch. Some, among the, as told you, the potatoes, among the vegetable, among the potatoes, the highest consumed food. Among the fruit, it was the banana, and those, less than half of the respondent consumed a particular fruit or juice. Less than 80% drinking more serving of energy dense fruit. Those who are available in the already available, not by from the
Thank
purchase of
you.
food. Okay. Sorry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm so sorry. Study is very
No, sir, thank
interesting,
you very much.
but
Thank you,
we
sir.
don't have time. And let's see if we have time at the end. You can explain during your question and answer session. But the study is
Thank
very
you, sir.
interesting, and you see other aspect of I mean a diet of adolescents whose parents are both the parents, both male and father and mother are working in urban areas. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
sir.
And now we move to the next speaker. He's Mandeep Digra. Mandeep is working as a program coordinator for research in Farm to Food Foundation. It's a not-for-profit organization. Mandeep will also discuss about ultra-processed food consumption trends. Mandeep, please. Thank you.
A very good evening to everyone. This is Mandeep Digra speaking in behalf of Farm to Food Foundation, Jorhat, Assam. I am working in a capacity of program coordinator in a research wing. Today I'm going to present on previous slide. Today I'm going to present on the topic ultra-processed food consumption trends and its impact on nutritional status among school-going adolescent girls from rural areas of Jorhat, district of Assam. This is a collaborative study between Farm to Food Foundation, Nourishing School Foundation, and Assam Agriculture University. Change. Period of adolescence is a unique bridge between childhood and adulthood and is the phase most vulnerable in terms of physiological, mental, nutritional demand. And the nutritional status of girls, as they will become the future mothers, generally contribute significantly to the nutritional status of the community as a whole. And this age group is very important as the nutritional demand during this period is high, like for iron to prevent the anemia. On the other hand, it has been seen that for the nutritional status, monitoring of human diets are very necessary. And different research has shown that human diets are becoming more highly processed. So ultra-processed food products are formulation of ingredients with very, which are created with very technical series of industrial steps. And these products are highly palatable with sophisticated and attractive packaging, which lures the adolescents. It has been seen that the ultra-processed food consumption is increasing day by day in not only in developed country, but also in developing and underdeveloped country also. So this increase in ultra-processed food consumption may lead to malnutrition and nutrition transition. And that will eventually lead to unfavorable health outcomes and will be a threat to global public health. So the present study was undertaken with the objective of assessment of ultra-processed food consumption traits and the impact of this consumption on the nutritional status of the adolescents. Change the slide. A purposive random sampling was done to select 100 adolescent girls from the rural areas of Jorhat. And for the nutritional status assessment, anthropometry was done for height, weight, and BMI, and biochemical procedure for the hemoglobin estimation and clinical signs and symptoms. And for the consumption of ultra-processed food frequency questionnaire, which was based on the modified NOVA classification, was used. And all the data were analyzed by SPSS version 16. Next slide. Here are the results of the research. So in this table, it shows a comparison between the height, weight, and the ICMR standard 2010. Here, in the age group of 16, it has been seen that the mean height of the adolescent girl, that is 152.8, was, when compared to the ICMR standard, it showed 95.67, which and represented a deficit of 4.33%. On the other hand, in the age group of 17, the mean height was 152.70 and showed a deficit of 4.69. And in the same results were shown in case of weight also. For the age group of 16, there was a deficit of 16.22, and for the age group of 17, there was a deficit of 14.61. And the t-test was also performed with this data, and it has shown that the mean height of this adolescent girl, mean height and weight of these adolescent girls were lower than the ICMR standard very significantly. And here the table 2. Table 2 shows the percentage distribution of nutritional status of adolescent girl according to WHO Z-score of BMI for age. Here we can see, it's not okay.
Yes, Mandeep. You have
Are you
any
able to see the screen, Mandeep?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe some technical issue.
No, we can see the screen.
Okay.
Are you able to see the screen?
No.
We can. You are in results, table 1 and 2. If you have printout, you can use the printout and speak. Then we can change that screen.
Okay. Here in the table 2, this is the percent distribution of nutritional state of adolescent girl according to WHO. Okay. Here we can see around 84% of adolescent girls were normal in the age group of 16. And for the age group of 17, it's not showing actually.
Fine. You proceed. We change. If you ask us to change into next slide, we will do that one. You can
wait. 84% were normal, followed by moderate thinness of 12% and overweight of 4%. And for the age group of 17, population around 78% were normal, followed by 12% of moderate thinness and 8% of overweight. Change the slide. The table 3 showed that the percent distribution of adolescent girl according to the WHO prevalence of anemia. The estimation of hemoglobin level indicated that the high prevalence of iron deficiency anemia in the age group of 16 years, that is 66% of moderate anemia and 2% of severe anemia. And for the age group of 17 years, 60% were moderate with moderate anemia and 6% with severe anemia. The reason for this means more percentage of anemia may be due to their inadequate intake of iron, or maybe due to their low intake of green leafy vegetables. And figure 1 depicts the clinical signs and symptoms of adolescent girls. And here the condition of the hair, nails, and conjunctiva, swollen gums, and skin, it indicated that there is a deficiency of iron, vitamin C, and vitamin A. Change the slide. A pre-survey was also conducted to assess the availability of ultra-processed food in the rural areas of Jorhat district. And based on that, a questionnaire was developed with the help of NOVA classification in different food groups like ready to eat, ready to drink, and ready to serve, and ready to cook food products. And here we can see the consumption of ultra-processed food based on food frequency questionnaire. So in this, it has been seen that on daily basis, 86% were consumed by adolescent girls, that is packaged and branded biscuits, cream biscuit, cookies, and cream puffs, and 66% were of branded chips, nachos, and puffs. On the other hand, on the weekly consumption, the highest percentage was for packaged and branded bread and similar items, and the second highest was for aerated cold drinks and other similar drinks. Change the slide. Intervention. Nutrition education was on ultra-processed food consumption and its effect on health was conducted to empower them with the knowledge of good healthy habits. And
you have 2 minutes.
Okay. With good healthy habits, and a nourishing school foundation nutrition toolkit was also used to flourish them with the knowledge of nutrition in a playway method. On the other hand, a step was taken to build skills among people, among the adolescents, to create a relationship between with food, and growing food by themselves will help them to establish an emotional bond with the food. So in this step, we have tried to implement a nutrition garden in school and household levels. So after the intervention, again, the consumption of ultra-processed food was done. And here we can see there were some changes in some food products which shifted from daily or weekly to never or to occasional percentage. So here this is a change the slide. So this is a microscopic view of before and after intervention. Here we can see for the packaged and branded bread and similar items, the weekly consumption was 73%, which was reduced to 60% after intervention. And occasionally they used to consume 23%, and later it was to 36%. And for the packaged brand biscuits, chips, French fries, and ketchup, chutneys, and all, the frequency were reduced from daily to weekly or weekly to occasionally level. Change the slide. So this is a model which where we studied the consumption of ultra-processed food and their impact, and other policymakers and researchers can also do a research in a broader way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mandeep. And it's very clear that ultra-processed food reaches the unreached areas in the country also. And it's high time to think about not only availability, but also why these nutritious food are not desirable by these adolescents. So we'll discuss more during that discussion time at the end of this presentation. Our final presentation is from Purnur Kaur. She's third year junior resident in Department of Community Medicine and Public Health, UP. Ms. Kaur, over to you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir. Good evening, everyone. I am delighted to be a part of this wonderful conference and having an opportunity to speak in a space where so many dignitaries are sharing their peace of mind is a great honor and a learning experience for me. So coming to the presentation quickly, my topic for today is consumption of ultra-processed foods among rural adolescents. It is an evidence from a community-based cross-sectional study. My co-author, chief supervisor, my mentor, my guide is Professor Monica Agarwal, who helped me with the study. Next slide, please. So, as already the discussion is going on ultra processed food, and it has been stressed by previous speaker how that has infiltrated in our environment, how the nutrition transition is occurring. And I would like to add to that there is a research paper that was published on 7th of November 2022, that is a day before yesterday, and it kind of highlighted that the study was based in Brazil, and it highlighted that 57,000 of premature deaths in the age group of 30 to 69 years were attributable to ultra processed foods. And if the total energy intake contribution of ultra processed food is reduced to 10% to 50%, it could prevent essentially around 6,000 to 30,000 deaths respectively. So and as we know that adolescence, teenage is that time where teenagers want more control over their eating habits. They want their decision-making power to function, and then they want to act on it. But because as we can see in the slide, that the human cortical development is not completed in that phase. So although they do want to make the decisions, are these decisions going to be right or wrong? That is not sure, because the executive functions have not developed as yet, and there is a crucial intersection of changing diets and changing food ecosystems that predisposes these vulnerable adolescents to unhealthy behavior, leading to undesirable outcomes. Next slide, please. So, although the common belief was that ultra processed foods are mostly being consumed by urban adolescents. So, in our study, we specifically focused on the rural adolescents, and our objectives were to estimate consumption of ultra processed foods among rural adolescents aged 15 to 19 years, and to assess the dietary diversity of rural adolescents aged 15 to 19 years. Next slide, please. Though the study was conducted in field practice area of KGMU. So KGMU has adopted 10 villages, and they are in close proximity to the Rural Health and Training Center, and that was the study area where some data collection was done. And the sample size was calculated based on the assumption that at least 50% of the adolescents are having adequate dietary diversity, and the final participants were 400. Next slide. Please click next. So the exclusion criteria were that adolescents who were married or sick or who did not consent or assent to participate in the study were excluded. Next, please. Ethical approval was obtained from the university research cell, and sampling frame was formed using the ASHA registers. Intensive pre-testing was done to conduct this survey, because we did not, at that time of the study, we did not have any tool available to assess the ultra processed food consumption qualitatively or quantitatively. So we used the food frequency questionnaire for dietary diversity assessment, but for ultra processed food, we pre-tested and developed a tool. Next slide, please. So as you can see in the slide here, there were 20 food items mentioned in NOVA ultra processed food classification. And for understanding the consumption of each of these items, we used some locally popular products in each of these category to form a picture guide to facilitate our interviews. And then some informative handouts were given out at the end for participation in the study, owing to enthusiasm of adolescents. Next slide, please. So as we see in the result, first of all, my results are sort of different in terms of dietary diversity because the group that we were focusing on, they had at least 62.7% adolescents that had adequate dietary diversity. And although differences were noted that adolescents who were in the age of 15 to 16 years, they were eating better or diverse food as compared to the adolescents in 17 to 19 years. And other than that, males had a better dietary diversity as compared to females. And if we look at the food group wise consumption, we can see that the least consumed products were eggs, meat, poultry, and fish. But that could also be because most of our study participants were vegetarian. Next slide, please. So the important findings in terms of ultra processed foods. So consumption of each ultra processed food item was noted down in terms of frequency in the last week as they have consumed. So it was noted that the most consumed food item was biscuits. So adolescents in the previous week from interview, 37.8% of adolescents had consumed biscuits every day. And then other popular food items included milk, drinks, packaged breads and buns, and even instant soups and noodles. And out of the ultra processed food taken into consideration for the study, ready to eat products, reconstituted meat products, breakfast cereals were very less consumed in the rural region. The reason for consuming such products was found to be palatability and taste as compared to quick preparation. And age differences were also noted in the consumption patterns, and they were found to be significant. Next slide, please. So at the end of the interview, we also included a question and asked the adolescent if they were willing for the inclusion of
You have 2
additional
minutes.
nutritional knowledge. Yes, sir, noted. Thank you. That if they were interested in inclusion of additional nutritional knowledge in the curriculum, and 2.3% of the adolescents said yes, they were very keen to learn more about nutrition, and they even went a step ahead and suggested some topics they wanted to know more about, including physical activity and dietary knowledge. So the implications are clear. Policy framework is required to tackle the infiltration of ultra processed food, and we already know that front of package labeling is going on, and Nutri scores are going to be introduced very soon. But we also have to take in consideration the rural adolescents who may not be that aware and may not be able to read those labels because they are highly consuming ultra processed foods. And integration of nutritional knowledge in the school curriculums is imperative because adolescents do want to take charge of their health, and they are very conducive in learning more. And we have a responsibility towards them to provide them the same. Next slide, please. So thank you so much. I would really like to acknowledge Mamta Institute for funding this study. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So I think the presenters need to answer a few questions in the chat box. I can see one question to Zoom. They would prefer to answer through this online rather this one. Muhammad Karim, if you can type your question, that will be grateful. And let us see if we have time, we will give you opportunity to speak. Better to type your question, that will be grateful. You would like to answer this, I mean, respond to this first one from Sana Miransana. Is there any other role of snacks on health except they contain fat or free sugar? If in any snack.
Can we also request the panelists to switch on their cameras so that we know, like, it will make it more interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. You just called my name, so I don't know if I have an answer to this question because it's about interpretation. I think the public health community usually cites snack foods or ultra processed, high in sugar, salt, and fat, as I think it comes from the WHO. I don't know if there's another source for that, or if other people have a different definition. I wouldn't know. Maybe another panelist can answer that.
You can, if you have any comments on promoting these dairy products among adolescents, you can comment, because the same question rises in that question and answer one. They need comments from all panelists. Have you seen that question?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes, that the question is, can you shed some light on the importance of consumption of dairy products, particularly liquid milk for adolescents? What measures should be taken to encourage milk consumption among adolescents if you think milk is a nutritious addition to adolescent diet? The question is to all panelists.
Okay.
So you can make your comments, and others, when you respond, you can respond to these questions also.
Did any of you study? Yeah. Did any of you study milk consumption amongst adolescents in your particular studies which you presented? Maybe if you have.
Please unmute. Kunzang, unmute.
We did not do any study like specifically on consumption of dairy products.
I mean, that was included in our, for example, our food cards. We did have milk, butter, well, dairy. We did, I think, have that. So we have a sense of whether our subjects thought it was tasty or untasty, healthy or unhealthy, but we don't have anything to address this particular question. Like our study wasn't looking at whether the foods were inherently nutritious or unnutritious. It was all through the lens of the children and adolescents, how they viewed their preferences. So that kind of question, we don't actually have an answer for. We can just tell you.
Yeah, but in general, we can just answer saying that yes, adding milk consumption among adolescents would obviously definitely be an addition point since they are in the growing stage and the developmental stage. So it is one of the addition to the nutritious products that should be added to your meals or to your daily consumption. Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, Gopi, I can add here. So there are some reviews. The person who's asked this question, there are some very specific reviews looking at dairy products and their impact on cardiovascular diseases, on their impact on diabetes. So we have seen that their dairy products to some extent are beneficial, especially if they are these dairy products are having odd chain fatty acids. So there are specific compositions, and I do not want to waste the time of everybody here, but if you're interested, there are specific papers looking at the importance of dairy products on outcomes that you're interested in. If you ask in general, what is the impact of dairy, people will perceive it to be good. In the recent light of microbial resistance, these injections being given to cows, and this whole system of getting like synthetic milk and everything, there are concerns about food safety, which I understand is partly reflected. But in general, dairy products are supposed to be having a beneficial impact. That's the short answer. Gopi, back to you.
Can I, Shweta and Gopinath, can I request you to read out the question aloud, because maybe not all the participants are looking at the Q&A box, so they will not have the context.
We'll do.
Okay.
If that particular question, to a particular presenter, so we'll read it when that panelists respond. Otherwise, we will read our questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
This is to Mandeep. It's a good study. Congratulations. I do not know if I missed it, but I would like to know how long was the duration of the intervention and what was the gap between the end of the intervention and the end line assessment.
So the research started in the month of February and till August. And in the month of September, I have done the intervention part. Means the intervention part was from there only, from the Feb. And I have analyzed the data in the month of September. And after that, the monitoring of nutrition gardening is still going on. And further, we are planning to do nutritional status, like the calorie consumption and all, after their nutrition, means how much they used to consume from their nutrition garden, how much calorie and protein they will have from their nutrition garden. This is our plan of our foundation. And our foundation from 2011 itself, they are working in a farmpreneur project where they help to set up a nutrition garden in school and household levels in rural areas of Assam.
Thank you. Sheetal, you want to respond to any of these questions or you want to add anything, please?
In response to Dr. Shweta's question as to whether we studied use of dairy products by adolescents, dairy products were included in the 10 food groups when we did the minimum diversity survey. Just to add to what Dr. Shweta already said, dairy products are a good source of high quality protein and vitamin B12, which is found only in animal source products. So including dairy products does have an impact on the dietary diversity of adults.
Thank you, Sheetal. And before I move to Ajay, one more question arises in that question and answer. I think Ajay can also respond to this one. Does behavior change interventions can have long-term effects on the dietary practices of adolescents? If yes, then what should be the policy implications? How can we root nutrition literacy in the minds of adolescents?
Yes, of course. There is a huge impact on the there is a huge impact of that on the adolescent in the long term, because whatever we started, there are studies which said that what we started, the adolescent have a long time impact during their adulthood, or even the deaths occurring in the adulthood or the ages after that are due to the behavior. Their behavior in the adolescent age is like the pattern of having a food, pattern of having a food dietary, like energy dense food, energy, the beverages which are are like it may be dealing in behavior of the students, which they are consuming other like alcohol or other things which are impacts their, not only the adolescent, also their adulthood. So so I just missed the last part what you said.
Last point is, how can we root nutrition literacy in the minds of adolescents?
I'm not getting you. Something I'm missing.
I mean, how to incorporate nutrition literacy?
Yeah. So that's also a policy implication for my study too. That there is need to something for the adolescent, even if they are in the school or in the colleges, there should be a counseling sessions. There should be some placement kind of classes or specific what should I say? Like if we are giving the students lessons on the like AIs these days or so, something like that. So the student or the colleges or the school administration should think something about, because parents are trying to pay for that. They are worried about their children because they are having the food which are not healthy for them, and it has impact not only on health, also it is impacting their parents' concern in the terms of stress, and it is also impacting their psychological behavior too. That's what I found from study. And it must be the not only the student, not only the children must be counseled. I also thought that the parents should be called to like earlier days, parents should be called to the colleges or the student to counsel them about not only about their studies, also about their behavior kind of. It may be the nutrition, it may be the dietary behavior, because they are not able to give to the time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Susan, we will come to you later. Let's finish with Purnor.
I just wanted to add to this point about behavior change. Here in Bhutan, we're already integrating nutrition into the curriculum, but the challenge for all of us is we can't just let it sit. We have to constantly try to make it more and more interesting for the kids. Kids are looking for innovation. Adolescence is all about innovation. So we're looking for new activities, more dynamic ways to communicate with kids. using social media, et cetera, et cetera. It's not a one-off thing. Behavior change is a long-term project.
Got your point. Thank you. Konnur, you want to make any comments? Some quick comments, because I got an alert from organizer that the time is up.
Yes, as rightly mentioned, and as I noted in my study, even when I was conducting the interviews, the adolescents were participating with so much enthusiasm and they wanted to learn more. But again, it has to include innovations, and it cannot be passive learning at all. It needs to be active learning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope you have answered all questions. I'm so sorry. I can see a few people raise their hands, but we don't have time to accommodate you in the session. Anyhow, you can. I can write your questions in the Q&A session, and our panelists are so happy to answer you through.
Dr. Gopinath, we can actually take 5 more minutes for the Q&A because the session ends at 5 and we still have more than 15 minutes.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Okay. So I think we can go with Mr. Raise your hands.
There are 3 questions in the chat box also. So in that question and answer pod, do you want to read them, Gopi, first?
I think they have answered it, no?
No, there are more.
3 more.
They have added more.
Can you please?
I'll ask. Okay. So I'll start from the last one, which I'm seeing. It's from Anna Isabel. It says that very interesting presentations to understand what children and adolescents are eating in South Asia. Well done. So congratulations to all our panelists. I would just like to comment that ANH Academy has a call and they have given some information. Oh, it's more of a comment. That's fine. Sorry. The other question is from Sada Sivani. And she says, Ajay, this question is for you, Ajay Gupta. Ajay, regarding your results, proportion of non-vegetarian consumption derived from all subjects, or was it only derived from non-vegetarian food?
I have derived this from the non-vegetarian, like those who are consuming either the eggs or either meat or either fish or either whatever kind of non-veg they are consuming, that I have derived from that.
All right, thank you.
And the result, okay.
All right. And Shailaja asks another question. She's also asking this to all the questions. Oops, I think it's...
Shailaja's one, yes.
Yeah. And she's also talking about behavior change. What other methods can be asked about in addition to counseling? So I think in general, Shailaja, we have discussed this right now briefly, saying that innovation and innovative methods, and some of the presenters use some techniques, are something which the adolescents will require for a sustainable behavior change. It's not going to be a top-down approach by just telling them or advising them. That won't work. So there are definitely, this presentations actually highlight the importance of investing and doing more research in that area as to how to make behaviors more sustainable and behavior change more sustainable, or in fact, even nudge them towards positive behaviors. So that's about it. All right, okay. There is also one more from Sada Sivani saying that, Mandeep, can you suggest policy implications for making nutrition as a mandatory subject in schooling?
Unmute.
Yes, we can approach higher authority of education that nutrition garden should be set up in each and every school. Like our foundation is also doing that only, setting up nutrition garden in school levels and household levels in the rural areas of Assam. So other policy like we should change their knowledge, we should impart knowledge like I have done in my intervention. I have imparted in nutrition education. And the second is by giving them skill to develop, to grow their own food, then knowledge, then skill, and that will eventually change their attitude towards their food behavior, that what is healthy and unhealthy. Means this can be the things that may help to shift their knowledge from processed food to maybe traditional one, maybe, or some less processed food. And for the other policies, like we can encourage food industries to develop some less processed food and all. And from the nutrition garden, like that, we can approach higher authority that it should be a mandatory course.
I think, Mandeep, if my understanding is correct, this school nutrition program bring many agencies into school garden, right? And NABARD, something like. So it implemented in a convergence mode where they brought local agencies, NABARD, all those people to involved in this school nutrition garden, and the local farmers help the school people to design that nutrition garden in a way it is more location specific. Correct?
Yes, without the help of community, it's not possible.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So can we conclude now? Can we go for closing remarks? Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Such a nice session. And I would like to flag two issues. Yes, this availability and education, nutrition literacy is very important, but we should also, study in deep on why the gap between, the knowledge and practice is existing across all economic classes and locations. We can see that the students are aware about the nutritious food, but they are not consuming it. So we need to study in deep on all aspects, the socio-economic and cultural aspects. The other thing is we have a big school feeding programs in South Asian countries. And it is also important that school meal program may not reach a significant proportion of children who are also enrolled in school. And we need to think about ways to promote the nutritious consumption of nutritious food even among those children who are in schools, particularly private schools or something like that. This is where the study rightly highlights that the school canteens are not having nutritious food kind of thing. Okay, I end with this one. May I request Sweta to make her closing remarks and take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gopinath. I think we were very effective as a team. We've managed it before the time. So Isha and all the organizers will be super happy. So thank you to all the flowers here of nutrition, the stars and flowers actually. So that's good. You really presented and gave us such a diverse, at least not diet diversity in the diets of adolescents, but diversity in the presentations. So I must compliment and congratulate each one of you for bringing that flavor in to our appetite of as researchers. We are always ready to absorb and be the sponge to take this all in. It's a lot of food for thought for us. So I end here with two positive things that I see and two things that we need to, sort of go and strengthen further. So two positive things are, number one, research is happening on adolescent diets. At least the attention is there on adolescent diets. They have come on the radar, so to say. So that's a very, very good point, number one. Number two, the data which you all have brought today is just a slice shot of whatever is existent in the whole of India, or in fact neighboring countries. So therefore, I feel that you must need to encourage this high quality rigorous data and research further on. So that's my takeaway from you. In terms of what to be done or can be strengthened, I think we do not know as a community still as how to encourage adolescents towards positive behavior. I think we are doing these research conferences, we are publishing in academic circles, we are making policies, but I see the absence of real adolescents everywhere. So they are not reading academic journals. They are not coming to our websites or to our programs, even if one or two representatives may come, but how do we actually engage with them? I think that is an area of concern for all of us. So maybe all of you in your work should also have a public engagement strategy. Like, how will you go and disseminate in those schools where you collected this data from? How will you go back and give it to the community? I think that is an area for me as a takeaway, number one. And number two, I think that in current scenario, after COVID has struck, everybody's being so concerned about their nutrition. This is the opportune time for us to make a case for a multi-sectoral nutrition and health policy. I don't think we can only do with a platter, just eat ye kha lo and this will be done. No, nobody will be ready to listen about what to eat from us. I think it has to people have to understand that linkage, that multi-sectoral action between education, environment, health, nutrition, agriculture, all these fields coming together, actually understanding of this in simple ways. So there is a need for so many more of you who are at least listening to us to come up as people and offer suggestions. We as researchers are doing our job, but help us translate this into real action and help the adolescents. So thank you, Gopi, for co-chairing this with me. I really enjoyed the session. Wonderful. You can see the energy has already come back in the room because your presentations, the questions were wonderful. Thank you. And I would like to thank the organizers as well from both Gopi and my side for giving us this opportunity to listen to such brilliant presentations. Thank you, Isha. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shweta. Thank you, Dr. Gopinath. And thank you all the presenters. For me, the takeaway from this session was that the young people are representing the young people. So it was so good to see this power-packed session, especially I think we were very strategic to place it just after lunch because it worked and we had like a great great audience, and thank you again, all of you. So I would like to close the session, and before that we will play a short video. But I would just like to remind everybody who are there, we'll close now, but in just another 40 minutes, that is 5:30 India time, we have a great keynote planned for you where Dr. Simon from National Institute of Public Health, Mexico, will be delivering his lecture on countering commercial influences on diets, the experience of Mexico. And the discussants for this particular keynote will be Dr. Stuart Gillespie from IFPRI and IDS, Dr. Nazma Shaheen from University of Dhaka, and Dr. Avula Lakshmaya from National Institute of Nutrition. So it's a great opportunity for all of you to listen to Dr. Simon and to hear about the story of Mexico. Hope all of you can join again in another 40 minutes, and thank you, all of you. And I would just like to end with another co-host video.
Hi, my name is Tim Krupnik, and I'm the country representative for the International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center in Bangladesh. I'm also the CGIAR country convener in Bangladesh, and I lead, together with my colleague Purnima Menon, the Transforming Agri-Food Systems in South Asia, or TAFSA, research initiative that is proud to co-support this conference. Research that is conducted in direct response to partners' needs and demands around sustainable and nutritious diets can empower actions that can lead to improved diets within South Asia. We're proud to see this conference be put into place and to facilitate key research partnerships and actions that deliver evidence and also strategies to improve nutrition and diets for marginal groups and more generally in South Asia. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and see you in another half an hour.
Thank you.